Man disguises himself to test his employees' honesty. What he discovers about their true nature shocks him. William Hartman stood in his office, the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders. As the owner of a successful furniture factory, he had once reveled in the hustle and bustle of his thriving business. But now, the air was thick with tension. The factory had seen better days, and the morale of his employees was sinking like a stone. He could feel it in the way they moved and interacted. There was a distance, a disconnect that gnawed at him. "What is happening to us?" he muttered to himself, staring out at the factory floor below. It was filled with workers, yet it felt eerily silent, as if they were all trapped in their own thoughts. He knew he needed to do something, anything, to bridge the gap between him and his team. But what? In a moment of inspiration, William hatched a bold plan. He would disguise himself as one of the workers. "I'll be Bill," he whispered, a smirk creeping onto his face. The thought of slipping into the life of his employees thrilled him. He imagined the surprise on their faces when they discovered who he really was, but deeper down, he felt a twinge of anxiety. Would they accept him? Could he truly understand their struggles? The next day, William donned a worn-out shirt, faded jeans, and a cap that hid his neatly combed hair. He looked in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back at him. "You can do this," he said, convincing himself. With a deep breath, he stepped into the factory. As he joined the production line, the sounds of machinery and chatter surrounded him. It was a different world down here, one filled with grit and determination. His heart raced with excitement as he introduced himself to his new co-workers. "Hey there, I'm Bill," he said, with a friendly smile. Sarah, a woman with tired eyes but a bright spirit, turned to him. "Welcome, Bill. You'll love it here. Just watch out for Marcus. He thinks he's the boss." She chuckled, and William felt a warmth spreading through him. "Hey, I do have some great ideas," Marcus shot back, playfully nudging her. Ellen, a quiet woman, smiled faintly from her station, her hands busy assembling a chair. William could sense the camaraderie among them, and it made him feel hopeful. But as the hours passed, the initial thrill began to fade. William realized how isolated he felt, even surrounded by people. He was an observer in a world he barely understood. While he worked alongside them, he could sense the burdens they carried. During lunch, he sat with Sarah, Marcus, and Ellen. "What do you guys do when it gets tough?" William asked, hoping to learn more about their lives. "It's not easy," Sarah admitted, her voice dropping. "I'm a single mom, and I have to juggle work and my kids. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning." William's heart sank. He had never thought about the personal lives of his employees before. "That sounds really hard," he said, genuinely moved. Marcus chimed in. "I dream of starting my own design business one day, but who has the time or money for that? It feels impossible." Ellen looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "I lost someone I loved not long ago. It still hurts every day." William felt a lump form in his throat. He was just a businessman, a man who had never faced such struggles. Here, under the guise of Bill, he was beginning to see the raw truth of their lives. He hadn't expected to feel such empathy, such a connection. As the day wore on, William's thoughts swirled. He had stepped into their world to understand them, but he found himself questioning everything he thought he knew. Could he really make a difference? Was this experiment worth the risk of revealing his true self? With every conversation, every shared laugh and sigh, William was slowly pulled into their reality. He began to see them not just as employees, but as individuals with hopes, dreams, and pain. The walls he had built around himself started to crack, and as he looked at their faces, he wondered, what would it mean for him to truly connect with them? What truths lay hidden behind the masks they wore every day? As days passed, William, now disguised as Bill, settled into life on the factory floor. He found himself waking up each morning with a mix of excitement and nerves. The workers had started to accept him, and he felt a growing bond with them. Each conversation peeled back layers of their lives, revealing dreams, fears, and the daily struggles that shaped their existence. One afternoon, while they took a break, William sat with Sarah, Marcus, and Ellen at a small table in the break room. The sun streamed through the windows, casting warm light on their faces. Sarah, with her soft smile, was the first to share. "You know, being a single mom is tough," she said, stirring her coffee. "I often worry if I can give my kids everything they need. Sometimes, I wonder if I'm doing enough." William listened intently, nodding. "What do you wish you could do?" he asked gently. "I dream of going back to school," she replied, her voice filled with hope. "I want to study nursing. I think it would give me a better life for my kids." "That's an amazing dream, Sarah," he said, encouragingly. "You should go for it." Across the table, Marcus chimed in. "And I want to start my own design business one day. I have so many ideas, but I don't know where to start. It feels impossible sometimes." William's heart swelled with admiration. "What kind of designs?" he asked, genuinely curious. "Furniture, of course. I've seen so many styles that could work well together," Marcus explained, his eyes lighting up. "But I need support. It's hard to get a loan without a solid plan." "I believe you can find a way," William encouraged, a sense of pride growing in him. "Maybe we can brainstorm ideas together sometime?" Ellen, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke up. "You know, I had dreams once too, but life took a different turn." Her voice was soft, almost hesitant. "I lost my family a few years back. It's hard to think about the future when the past weighs so heavily on you." William felt a pang of sadness. "I'm so sorry to hear that, Ellen. It must be incredibly difficult." "It is," she nodded, a tear glistening in her eye. "But I try to find joy in small things. This job gives me a reason to get up every day." As they shared their stories, William realized how much he had misunderstood his workers. They were not just faces on the factory floor. They were individuals with aspirations and burdens. He felt a sense of responsibility growing within him, a desire to support them in any way he could. Later that week, while the machines hummed around them, William found himself reflecting on his leadership style. He had always believed in authority and control, but now he questioned whether that approach truly served his employees. Was he too far removed from their struggles? "Bill, you seem lost in thought today," Marcus said, breaking his reverie. "I guess I am," William admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. "I've been thinking about how to be a better leader. I want to connect with all of you more." Sarah smiled warmly. "You're doing well so far. Just remember, we're all in this together. We need to support each other." Ellen nodded in agreement. True leadership is about understanding and empathy, not just giving orders. William absorbed their words, a newfound determination stirring within him. He wanted to foster an environment where everyone felt heard and valued. The factory could be more than just a place of work. It could be a community. As the weeks went on, he made it a point to engage more with his co-workers. He organized small team meetings where everyone could share ideas and concerns. He encouraged open dialogue, wanting to hear their thoughts on how to improve the factory and their work life. One day, as they gathered for a meeting, William looked around the room at the faces of his employees. "I want to thank all of you for sharing your thoughts with me," he began. "I realize that I have not always been present, and I want to change that." The workers exchanged glances, surprised but pleased. "We appreciate that, Bill," Sarah said. "It means a lot to us. Together, we can make this place better," Marcus added, his voice filled with enthusiasm. Ellen smiled, the weight of her past seeming a little lighter. "I look forward to what comes next." William felt a rush of hope. In those moments, he understood that building connections was the key to leadership. He was not just Bill, he was part of a team, and together, they could face any challenge ahead. The atmosphere in the factory shifted dramatically on that fateful day. A loud bang echoed through the production line, causing everyone to stop in their tracks. Machines halted, and the buzz of activity faded to an unsettling silence. William, still in his disguise as Bill, stood frozen in place. He watched as panic spread among his coworkers. The deadline for their big order loomed closer, and now they were faced with a major equipment failure. "What are we going to do?" Sarah exclaimed, her voice trembling. She looked around at her fellow workers, her eyes wide with fear. Marcus stepped forward, trying to keep his composure. "We need to stay calm. Let's brainstorm some ideas," he suggested, glancing at the group. "We can't just give up." Ellen, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "We have to figure out how to fix this machine. We can't let this ruin everything we've worked for." As William listened to their voices, he felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He realized that he was witnessing the strength and determination of his team. They were not just workers, they were individuals filled with hopes and dreams, fighting against the odds. But as he stood there, he faced a moral dilemma that weighed heavily on him. Should he reveal his true identity as the factory owner? Or should he remain hidden, letting them find their own way through this crisis? In the midst of the chaos, William felt a wave of uncertainty wash over him. He was torn. On one hand, he wanted to help them, to use his position to solve the problem. On the other hand, he worried that revealing who he truly was would shatter the trust he had slowly built with them. "Bill, what do you think?" Sarah turned to him, her eyes searching for guidance. "You've been here with us, so you must have some ideas." William hesitated, feeling the weight of their expectations. I think we should focus on what we can do right now," he said, trying to sound confident. "Maybe we can divide into teams and tackle different parts of the machine." "That's a good idea," Marcus agreed, his voice steadier now. "We can break it down and see what's wrong. If we all work together, we can get it fixed." The workers nodded, their spirits lifting as they began to organize themselves into small groups. William watched as they rallied together, brainstorming solutions, and he felt a pang of pride. They were resilient, demonstrating a commitment that he had not fully appreciated before. As they worked, he found himself reflecting on his own leadership. He realized that true leadership was not just about authority, it was about being vulnerable and showing support. He had hidden behind his title for too long, and now he saw the damage it had caused. The team was buzzing with ideas, and William could see their determination shining through. They tested various methods to mend the broken equipment, sharing tools and knowledge. However, the clock was ticking, and he could sense the pressure mounting. "All right, everyone, let's take a quick break," William finally said, raising his hand to get their attention. "You all are doing an amazing job, but we need to regroup and think about what we know so far." The workers sat down, wiping sweat from their brows. William looked around at their faces, filled with determination. "I know this is tough, but I believe in each one of you. We can get through this together." "Thanks, Bill," Sarah said quietly, a small smile breaking through her worry. "It means a lot to know you're here with us." As he smiled back, he felt a shift within himself. He could no longer stay hidden in the shadows. They were fighting for their livelihoods, and he needed to fight alongside them. This crisis was more than just a mechanical failure, it was a turning point for him as well. With renewed resolve, William made a decision. He would no longer hide behind the mask of Bill. It was time to step into the light and face both his team and the challenges ahead. As the team gathered around the broken machine, the air thickened with tension. William, still disguised as Bill, watched closely as Sarah, Marcus, and Ellen shared ideas on how to fix the issue. Their voices rose and fell like a wave, a mixture of worry and determination. He felt a knot tighten in his stomach, knowing that he held a secret that could change everything. "Maybe we can use those spare parts from the storage room," Marcus suggested, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Or we could try to jury-rig it with what we have," Sarah added, glancing at the others for support. Ellen nodded, her eyes bright with hope. "I think we can make it work if we all pitch in." William admired their teamwork, but felt a heavy weight on his chest. It was time to come clean. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, his heart racing. Everyone, can I have your attention? The room fell silent and all eyes turned to him. His mind raced as he prepared to reveal the truth. I need to tell you something important. The words hung in the air like a fragile bubble ready to burst. I am not just Bill. I am William Hartman, the owner of this factory. Shock washed over the group. Sarah's mouth fell open, and Marcus stepped back, disbelief etched on his face. What? You've been lying to us? He exclaimed, his voice rising with anger. I didn't mean to deceive you, William rushed to explain. I wanted to understand your struggles, to see things from your perspective. I thought if I worked alongside you, I could find a way to help. Ellen crossed her arms, her expression a mix of hurt and confusion. And you thought pretending to be one of us was the way to do that. We trusted you, Bill. I know, William replied, his voice heavy with regret. I see now that my actions were wrong. I should have approached you honestly. I take full responsibility for this. The room buzzed with emotions. Some workers looked angry, while others seemed hurt. Sarah finally spoke up, her voice steady but laced with disappointment. We shared our lives with you, Bill. We thought you were one of us. Now it all feels like a lie. William felt the weight of her words pierce through him. I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted to help. I want to create a better workplace for all of us. Please, let me know how I can fix this. Marcus shook his head, his frustration palpable. You can't just wave a wand and make everything better. Trust doesn't come easy. You broke it, and it'll take time to rebuild. Then let's start rebuilding, William said earnestly. I will listen to you. I want to hear your ideas and concerns. Tell me what I can do to make this a better place. Ellen uncrossed her arms, her expression softening slightly. It's not just about fixing the machines, William. It's about fixing the way we work together. We need honesty, support, and respect. I agree, Sarah added. If we are going to move forward, we need to be able to trust our leader. You have to show us that you mean what you say. William nodded, feeling a spark of hope. I promise to be transparent from now on. I will hold open forums where you can voice your thoughts, and I will make changes based on your feedback. We will work together, as a team. The atmosphere shifted slightly as the workers considered his words. We'll need time, Marcus finally said, the edge of his anger fading. But if you're serious about this, we might be able to move past it. William felt a wave of relief wash over him. Thank you. I know I have a lot to prove. I will do everything I can to earn your trust back. As the team began to discuss their next steps for fixing the machine, William felt grateful. He knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but he was committed to walking it with them, this time as their true leader. The masks were off, and it was time to build something real. The factory buzzed with a mix of tension and curiosity after William's surprising revelation. As he walked through the production line, he could feel the weight of his employees' gazes upon him. Their expressions were a blend of disbelief and disappointment, and he knew he had a long road ahead to rebuild their trust. Hey, Bill, Sarah called out, her voice steady, but her eyes searching. What's going to happen now? Are we still going to have our jobs? William paused, taking a deep breath. I want to assure you all that your jobs are safe. I'm here to listen and to make changes that will help us all. A murmur spread through the group. Marcus stepped forward, his arms crossed over his chest. You say that now, but how do we know you mean it? You've kept us in the dark. William nodded, acknowledging the truth in Marcus's words. You're right. I've made mistakes, but I want to fix this. I want us to have open conversations, to create a space where everyone feels heard. Ellen, who had been quiet until now, raised her hand. How do we know this isn't just another lie? You've worn a mask for so long. William felt the sting of her words, but he understood their importance. I know I have a lot to prove. That's why I want to start having regular open forums where anyone can share their thoughts, ideas, or concerns. No more hiding. The room was silent for a moment, processing his proposal. Finally, Sarah spoke again, her tone softer now. That sounds good. But we need to see action, not just words. I agree, Marcus added, his voice firm. We need to feel like we matter to you, not just as workers, but as people. William felt a flicker of hope. I promise to be more approachable. I want to hear from each of you. Let's work together to shape our environment. As the days passed, William put his plan into action. He scheduled the first open forum for the following week, and he decorated the break room with colorful posters inviting everyone to join. He wanted to create a welcoming atmosphere. On the day of the forum, he stood nervously at the front of the room, a stack of notepads and pens on the table. One by one, employees filtered in, some hesitant, others curious. "Thank you all for coming," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "This is a safe space for you to share whatever is on your mind." Sarah was the first to speak up. "I appreciate this, William. It's nice to finally feel like we can talk to you. I have some ideas about how we can improve production efficiency." "I'd love to hear them," he replied, leaning forward with interest. As Sarah shared her ideas, others began to chime in. Marcus proposed a new scheduling system to help balance workloads, while Ellen suggested ways to improve safety in the factory. Each suggestion was met with encouragement from William. "Those are great points," he said enthusiastically. "Let's try to implement those changes right away." By the end of the forum, William felt a sense of relief. The employees seemed more engaged, their voices now filling the room with ideas and laughter. He realized that he was not just a boss, he was part of a team. In the following weeks, he made it a point to walk the floor more often, checking in with each employee. He noticed how the atmosphere began to shift. Employees who once kept to themselves started to collaborate more, sharing stories and working together on projects. One afternoon, as he chatted with Ellen about her design ideas, she looked at him and smiled. "You know, I didn't think it was possible to feel this way again. Thank you for listening." William felt a warmth spread through him. "Thank you for trusting me. I'm still learning how to be a better leader." As he continued to invest in their personal and professional development, the factory began to transform. The employees felt valued, and their motivation grew. They were not just workers anymore. They were a community. One day, during a break, Marcus approached William. "I just wanted to say that I appreciate what you're doing. It feels different around here." William smiled, feeling a sense of pride. "I couldn't do it without all of you. Together, we can create something amazing." With each passing day, the masks of truth began to fade, replaced by genuine connections built on trust and understanding. William was no longer just the factory owner. He was a leader who cared deeply for his team, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. As the weeks passed, the factory buzzed with a new energy. The sound of machines working harmoniously filled the air, and laughter often echoed through the halls. Employees no longer felt like mere workers. They had become part of a community. William watched this transformation with a sense of pride, realizing how far they had come since his initial deception. One morning, William gathered everyone in the break room. The walls were decorated with drawings from the employees, showcasing their dreams and aspirations. He stood at the front, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Thank you all for coming," he began, looking around at the familiar faces. "I know things have changed a lot recently. I want to hear from you." Sarah was the first to speak, her voice steady but filled with emotion. William, we appreciate what you've done. It feels different here now. I was worried about my job and how I would provide for my kids. But now, I see hope." She smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. William nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. You and your team have worked so hard. I want you to feel safe and valued here." Marcus chimed in. "Honestly, it's nice to be heard. Before, it felt like we were just cogs in a machine, but now it's like we matter." He glanced around, and the others nodded in agreement. Ellen added, "I never thought we could have a say in how things are run. It's refreshing. I feel more motivated than ever. I want to contribute." She looked directly at William, her expression sincere. "Your voices matter," he replied, his heart swelling with pride. "This factory is not just mine, it's ours. Together, we can make it better. I want to hear your ideas, your concerns, and your dreams." The atmosphere in the room was charged with positivity. Employees shared their thoughts on improving the workspace, from safety measures to new design ideas. William listened intently, taking notes and encouraging everyone to speak freely. He could see the passion in their eyes, and it filled him with hope. As the meeting wrapped up, William felt a warmth in his chest. He was no longer just the owner, he was part of something bigger. The sense of connection he had yearned for was finally taking shape. Later that week, William organized a team-building event outside the factory. He wanted everyone to bond and relax, away from the pressures of work. They gathered at a nearby park, where picnic tables were set up under the shade of tall trees. The sun shone brightly, and laughter filled the air. "Let's play some games," William suggested, a grin spreading across his face. "How about a tug of war?" The employees cheered, enthusiasm bubbling over. They divided into teams, and the competition began. William joined in, pulling with all his might against Sarah's team. "Come on, we can do this," he shouted, laughing as they strained against each other. After several rounds of games, they all settled down to share a meal. As they ate, Sarah, Marcus, and Ellen sat together, sharing stories and laughter. William watched them, feeling a sense of belonging wash over him. "William," Sarah said, looking up from her plate, "thank you for believing in us. It's not just the work environment that changed. You've changed too. You're not just our boss. You're our leader." William felt a rush of emotion. "I couldn't have done this without all of you. Your strength and resilience inspire me every day. I promise to continue listening and learning." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, William gathered everyone for a final word. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice filled with hope. "Together, we can face any challenge. Let's keep moving forward, united as a team." Cheers erupted from the group, and William felt a deep sense of gratitude. He was ready to embrace his role as a leader, understanding the true power of truth and compassion in the workplace. The future looked bright, not just for him, but for everyone in the factory. Together, they would thrive. Share this story if you believe that teamwork and compassion can transform any workplace. Leave a comment about a moment when you felt truly valued at work, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Together, we can create a brighter future.